Hello, this is Lyndsey Parker for LPtv here at Licorice Pizza Records to celebrate the third album by Grandson.
Woo!
I know. Congratulations, Jordan, if I may call you Jordan.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate that.
So the record is called Inertia,
Yeah.
but your career is anything but inert.
I like
See
that.
what I did?
Yeah,
there's a lot to unpack here. I know there's going to be fans waiting for you, so I'm just going to, cut right to the chase. And
Let's
I have
get to
lots of questions for you. So yeah, your debut album was called Death of an Optimist. Then there was I Love You, I'm Trying. Now Inertia. Is there kind of a theme running through? There's kind of something with all those titles, I think, that's sort of similar.
Yeah, I think I explore themes of inevitability a lot. I engage with the state of the world quite literally and directly. And in growing up and inheriting the environment that we grow up in, it feels like there are these immovable forces that a lot of people that come to this kind of music feel quite cynical or pessimistic about, as I do. And so I do think we explore themes throughout the record, even on my second record, which dealt a lot less about the state of the world and was a little more about my mental health and stuff. There was still a through line of this feeling of inevitability that I, on good days, feel like we can do something about, and on bad days feel absolutely crushed by.
Is that why the slogan, it's never enough rest, tomorrow's approaching? I think you even made that an internet domain.
Yeah.
Tell me the meaning about that. Sort of teased when you were getting ready to put this on.
Yeah, I was on mushrooms and looking for an anagram or an acrostic poem.
Is it an anagram?
It's not an anagram.
Oh, it spells out inertia. I'm slow.
That's all good. You just got to take more mushrooms. And
why did you do? Right,
no, but
yeah. Okay.
But yeah, that approaching, that feeling of something is coming, whether it looks like an awakening, a consciousness, pushing back against the way that America has become this shell corporation, whether it's in response to the pillaging of Gaza, any of these issues that our generation is watching unfold. Like, yeah, there is this feeling that something's going to happen. Inevitably, this thing cannot sustain forever, this never-ending consumption and greed, and whether that looks like a positive change or just the system collapsing, a snake eating its own tail and suffocating on it. Certainly, these are themes that I explore in my music, and I think a lot of rock and roll historically has been about reflecting the times or some themes of rebellion, whether that's teenage angst and rebellion, whether that's in adulthood rebelling against conformity. And for me, it is inescapable, that feeling that it's important for me to write about this stuff.
So when you were writing this record, it's September 2025 right now. So Donald Trump's been in office for eight months about. Were you writing it during last year's election, before the election, after he won? When or did it kind of overlap?
Yeah, it came up actually during the presidential campaign. And
did you think he was going to win a second term, or were you? I mean,
I had no
fucking
fucking idea, dude. I really felt like whatever was going to happen, these themes would be relevant. And for me, this album was about kind of deepening that understanding and arming myself with the sort of knowledge of that this country is the way it is, regardless of how power exchanges hands every 4 to 8 years. Many of the policies and the foundations of how we got to this place, whether that's the issue of mass incarceration, drone warfare, a lot of those themes were coming up through Clinton and Obama and Biden, and obviously what's been going on in Palestine with so many young, progressive, motivated people begging for change, making this a singular issue that they could point to as proof of the systemic ineptitude that led people to being so disillusioned. And in the face of that, while they were on this campaign trail saying that now is the most important election of our lifetime, now we have to do something or it'll be the end of the world, still these weapon sales were going on. This global imperial conquest was going on. So I was watching all this unfold. I still, in my heart, believed that maybe we'd be able to avoid a Trump presidency. And I was worried about that as it related to my queer and trans friends and fans, the aggressive attacks on the environment going on right now. You know, like, I still hoped for, if nobody else, those communities, that it wouldn't be the case. But here we are. And every time Trump has been in power, it has been this feeling like, what is the point of being empathetic? What is the point of caring about one another? Like, where is our sense of community? It has completely collapsed under these arrogant, cocky, horrible people. And people turn to music and art in that time. And it's important to document it, to enshrine our sense of repulsion into music like this, and then put it on stage for 1,000 people a night has been something that, through the Trump presidency, there was an increase in urgency for me to get the record out and for me to tell these stories right. But I don't think that whether he was elected or not was the difference between me writing this record or not.
Right. So I commend you for that. Would you say that Inertia is like your most overtly political record? Certainly you've never shied away from it from day one, but I feel like this is maybe the most hard-hitting of your discography.
Yeah, I think that my music has been political from my early 20s for the last 5-6 years or whatever. But I think in this one, I tried to take a little bit of a backseat, and I think in a lot of time I would take those political opinions and generally synthesize them through my own reflections, my own how they affect me and my hope. You know, this idea of optimism versus cynicism. A lot of that is ultimately personal, and I felt on this record I wanted to get a little more out of the way of the people that are leading the charge as it relates to activism and resistance, and more just kind of try to document and be a little more on the sidelines of the narrative, and let the guitar speak as well.
Yeah, it's like it's your most rockin' record, I think, or maybe
thank you.
I forget what review it was, but one said it was your first rock record. I don't know if you agree.
That's
with that.
cool. That's cool. I do. I think that it's a record that people have kind of wanted from me. I think we found a really, really cool pocket where it's different and it pushes the sound forward, but in a way that people are going, finally. I didn't take this relationship with my fans and expect people to come with me on a journey that was unfamiliar. It's different, but it's definitely the energy from my live show, most importantly. And I do think it was the one we most embraced, that new school of political rock music.
Well, it's interesting. You just said a minute ago, like, people turn to music during these tough times, but not. I mean, I'm not shading other artists out there. Not everything has to be political. You can have escapist pop as well. But I kind of thought, like, in the last 5 years, since 2020, since COVID, since the first, or maybe actually since 2016, when Trump was first in office, I thought we'd be hearing more music like this. I thought there'd be more grandsons, more Rage Against the Machines. Like, I thought, like, okay, this is the time. Times are tough. Politics are effed. Like, everyone's going to be putting out really outspoken music. And I mean, of course, some have, but a lot of them are afraid to even speak out on social media about Palestine or about really anything. I think they're afraid of getting canceled, or, I mean, I know this is an old reference, but they're afraid of having the Dixie Chicks or Chicks thing happen to them. So, like, do you have any, well, I guess it's a two-part question. One, do you have any theories as to why that is? Do you agree with my observation and why? And also, like, is that a concern you have? Maybe not you, but people on your team that are like, whoa, tone it down. You're going to get canceled.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, people are not talking about these issues, some of whom have opinions and are scared of that backlash, some of whom just fucking don't care. You know, ultimately, I've learned that whether you can sing well or use social media convincingly, is this shit that we do is not a meritocracy. You're not going to get people who necessarily are any more empathetic just because they have a platform. And so part of doing this work is letting go of some of the expectation that anyone else is going to follow your lead or that it's going to change anything. I do it because it feels like it gives me purpose and it feels morally appropriate for the times, but other artists are entitled to do whatever the fuck they want, I guess, and we as a society continue to care more about who somebody's, you know, fucking than the planet burning. So, and that is what it is. You know, I also don't blame people for being in conditions that they need to use art to escape, and they don't want to sit there and be reminded when their life feels fucked up enough as is. I also think there's a ton of intimidation and censorship going on right now. Like, you know, you mentioned the chicks, but you look at what's going on with Kneecap. My friends Bob Villain, who were supposed to open for me across America on tour, just had their visas revoked. British rappers on stage having opinions about the Middle East, about a foreign country's military, somehow gets them banned in America. And so what message does that send to a young band just looking to get their start, or to a developed artist who feels like they have everything to lose? But in my experience, being at this long enough, many of the very institutions that I am being threatened to not have a seat at the table at didn't have a seat for me anyways and aren't fucking worth anything anymore. Like, the Grammys are an absolute sham, especially in rock music. Like, I gotta stand there and clap while fucking, you know, Pearl Jam gets the best new artist. Like, what are we talking about? You know, like,
they don't even show the rock categories
Turnstile
on TV.
not getting a rock album, you know, for Glow On. It's like,
were they nominated?
I don't even remember, dude. Like, for best metal performance. What are we even doing other than letting these oligarchs who control the media companies and who control the record companies jerk each other off, ultimately, whether that's through the Grammys, whether that's through terrestrial radio. Like, these are the institutions I'm worried about being blacklisted from. Like, they're not relevant to young people today. They're not relevant to me. Like, that's not where I go to consume art. That's not the artists I look up to. So for me, ultimately, I just had to surrender to, this is the new media landscape. This is the new relationship that artists have to cultivate with their fans. This is why I went independent for this release.
This
is about me and the people that have followed me on this journey and the people that consume rock music that falls somewhere in between a million genres. Like, come buy a ticket. We're going to have some cool t-shirts and some vinyl for you to buy. If you fuck with it, it helps keep the lights on and funds the operation that I'm doing. But, you know, this is a long-winded way of just saying there's plenty of reasons why there aren't more artists speaking up, but there are also a lot more artists now than at any other time that I've been doing this who have been taking that platform, even if it's not necessarily in the music. I think there are plenty of people who are using that moment on stage to have opinions, you know, and there is a lot of fear about getting it wrong to have an opinion about what's going on in the world. If you're Olivia Rodrigo using your Instagram story to talk about what's going on, like, that means something. That means something to young people. It's becoming cool to have an opinion, and that wouldn't be possible without the many artists who, in the face of all that intimidation and that censorship, are doing so anyways, which is really, really cool. And I fuck with it. I'm somebody who writes it into my music, but there are plenty of people that take their microphone at the show or use their social media, and are doing something important.
I 100% agree, and I'm going to do this for you. But I feel like some artists are intimidated just because even on social media, if they say the most benign thing, like something not even taken aside or whatever, like my heart goes out to the children of Palestine and Israel. I hope there is peace. Like not even like to me, that's not even a political statement. That's just saying like people shouldn't get killed. People will attack them for that. It's like there's kind of no winning, but I guess maybe that's not something that keeps you up at night.
Yeah, I mean, if you have an opinion in the world, you will be held to a standard and an expectation that you know what you're talking about. And unfortunately, some of the good that you might be doing to some people will never be enough. Like, what are any of us doing? It is a very real thing to reflect on and ask yourself, could I be doing better? Could I be bringing more diversity of opinion, and where am I getting my information about what's going on in the world? Ultimately, I think doing a net positive and bringing light to a situation is valid and important work, and certainly, yeah, you're not going to get it right all the time, but for a lot of people, that being a non-starter, that being a reason not to have an opinion at all, keeps us stuck in place in a lot of ways.
Did you choose to go independent maybe so you could be more vocal, or this is your first album independent,
Totally.
right?
It's my first full project independent. A lot of the time in the past, my music videos my concepts would get snagged by the legal department, or I'm very grateful for the opportunity to tell these stories the way that I pictured telling them, to have a team that rocks with me through those ups and downs. And for me, this model of being independent and telling these stories as I can has been very rewarding, and it's been working. It's a more authentic version of myself than having to tiptoe around what these songs are really about or what is it I'm trying to say. So yeah, that definitely was part of the decision to go independent at this time.
Obviously, you address a lot of issues, and you have an organization. Tell me the name of it again.
Yeah, the XX Resistance Fund.
So obviously, there's many issues you're concerned about and that you raise funds for. But if you had to say what's like your number one concern for this current generation, your young fans about the future, like the most like emergency issue, what would it be?
I mean, like I would say that one theme that I talk a lot about on this record is the intersectionality, the way that justice for any one person, if you begin to give a fuck about any one of these issues, will open your mind to being more empathetic and caring about how that issue intersects with another issue, the ways in which things like making the world a more egalitarian and welcoming place for people of different sexual identities or races will also be good for the environment. Like caring about technology and mass surveillance, that will seep into everything. And so I think one of the most important issues that I ultimately try to bring together people around is community. I think bringing together people, getting people less isolated, alone, feeling helpless, and empowering people to organize with other like-minded people and not be made to feel alone for caring about the things you care about or believing the things that you believe in will ultimately help cure some of that insecurity or loneliness that is preyed upon when you're seeing young people radicalized on the internet, especially young men. But, this is what makes these technology companies so much money, is keeping your attention because you feel like shit. So to fix any of the many issues that I feel this album explores, we begin with building coalitions of people. We begin with building community and bringing this show to people and encouraging people to wear what they want to wear and say what they want to say. And from there, any number of these issues that feel insurmountable suddenly just become doing work with your friends, which is ultimately what you want to spend your time doing anyways.
And I was looking because you mentioned community. So like your fans, your community are starting to gather here. You're from Canada originally?
Yeah, so I was born in America, but I grew up in Canada. That's right.
Well, see, that's an interesting perspective because everyone's joking these days about moving to Canada. I'm like, hey, got a Canadian passport? Want to get married?
Sure.
So, yeah, I guess maybe it's not really so much a question, but a lot of people think that Canada, like you have a perspective of someone who lives outside of America and what the rest of the world thinks about America, and then you're writing an album which isn't necessarily all about America, but I'm kind of assuming because I'm reading the lyrics as an American, like how does your perspective of having spent time in both countries affect kind of your worldview?
Yeah, well, I mean, growing up in a place that had even just the most basic level of healthcare, some sort of social support system, which in and of itself is vulnerable and flawed, and any country that is a settler colonial country has a past to reconcile with and is susceptible to the same toxicity that America is just like a terminal fast forwarded example of. But certainly like growing up in that kind of environment made me come here and be disgusted by how fucked the average working American person is, how little support there is in childcare here when you become a young family, and how fucked you are when you get older. You know, it's like, it's so disgusting. And maybe by growing up in a place where that wasn't necessarily the case, that like we were paying taxes and we believed, even naively, but believed that the money that you were giving the government was going towards making the country a little bit of a better place. I certainly brought that ethos with me and used that disgust to like become the source anger for my work.
Are there any people that are like, hey, Canadian, go back to Canada? Why are you writing these songs?
Absolutely. I'm like a psyop. Like, I am invented by the liberals. Dude, 100%. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to anyone.
People think you're like an AI created.
Yeah, I'm flattered. I was born in a lab.
I mean, that'd be pretty cool if that would be a cool origin story.
I'm part of Big Canada's conspiracy to like let people survive. It's horrible. I know. It's terrible.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Do you have time to do a lightning round of some specific songs?
Yeah, let's go real quick.
Okay. These are ones like just lyrically stood out to me.
Sure.
Brain Rot.
What about it?
All right.
Just you mean like just what I associate with it? Dude, I don't know. I just put the shit out. It was a good time. Like I loved it. Like it's fun. Yeah.
Okay, Self-Immolation. Because that one had a very specific story to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we wrote that around the time that Aaron Bushnell, the American soldier who tragically gave his life bringing awareness to the American complicity and funding of the genocide in Palestine. I love that song.
Little White Lies, because that's got the religion hypocrisy thing.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
No, I'm just like trying to wrap my head around.
I said there was a lot to unpack.
What do I even say about any of this? I'm working on it. Like, yeah, I think that the whitewashing of American Christianity, the ways that people's faith has been co-opted to ultimately support a conservative agenda somewhere along the way, believing in like a God that loves you, whoever you are, has become justification for like the NRA and like the military. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And like, even just fundamentally going, okay, so you have this man that supposedly lived 2,000 years ago in this place. Why is he ripped? Like, why does Jesus have a six-pack?
Don't you say, like, he was 5'4", doesn't look like the guy on the
Yes, cross? Let's just start there. Why does he look like an NFL tight end? The more that we begin to ask these kind of questions, you'll find very unexpected places that kind of curiosity might take you.
All right, well, I'll ask one. I mean, I could go track by track. But the last one I'll ask by is autonomous delivery robot, because that obviously addresses something.
Yeah.
We're all worried about AI and things like that.
Yeah, not only are we worried about AI, but it is the delivery robots. Like, I was working on the record in Culver City at the time, and they were fucking everywhere. Like these little Uber Eats robots. Do you guys have them here in Studio City too?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not as much.
They like roll down
West Hollywood everywhere. They just started putting them in East LA where I live, and it's just like,
I mean, they're kind of cute almost.
No, that's the problem.
I mean,
that's the problem.
Yeah,
we anthropomorphize them and give them little blinking eyes and say, "Hi, I'm Gregory." Like, no, you're not.
I'm sorry, I bought it.
It's okay. It's okay. I understand. It's not your fault, but it's like
not that cute.
They fucking impede the sidewalk for people with disabilities. Their data that they're scraping is then used to advance and proliferate this normalization of these robots, which will inevitably be used for policing, for military purposes. Like the onslaught of just get used to a computer in your way is it just, where was any one's say about this between the people that own the company and these bought and paid for politicians? Between them, they make an agreement, and it's like, in what ways does this impact us? We can't even foresee the consequences of just being like, we just decided that the entire delivery industry is going to be completely gone in the next 15 years. Like, what does that do for the hundreds of thousands of people that have these jobs? It's fucking disgusting. And I was like, why isn't there a thrash metal song about this yet? And these songs have been existing, and people have been mad about this shit for a long time. It exists in hardcore music. It exists in punk rock music. I am not the only person talking this kind of shit. I just wanted to do it in a catchy rock sort of way.
And you succeeded.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service. You are rad. Would you ever run for office?
Fuck no, dude.
No,
absolutely
I'd vote for
not.
you.
They'd tear me to shreds.
Grandson for president?
No.
I guess you can't because you're from Canada.
Yeah,
all right.
Exactly.
Well, you're making change in other ways, so thank you so much. I'm going to let you join your community. They're all ready to have
cool
you sign
is
copies
that?
of Inertia.
I can't wait. Cheers.
Thanks, everybody.
Yay.